Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer, dear listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Welcome to another delightful, exciting and invigorating episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I have on the studio Mr. Ntsima. The full name is Kgotla Juju boy, quote unquote, Ntsima. But I'll let you introduce yourself more fully. Could you tell the viewers who you are? And welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Mogobe. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Kgotla Ntsima, as you said. I'm also known as Juju boy because one of the things that I do is I'm a musician, I'm an entertainer. So that's the brand that I use for that part of my life. But I'm also an entrepreneur, and that's also something that I'm very, very proud of.
Okay, how did the career start? How did you start it all?
I started off very early. You know, I've always been a very artistic child, so I drew from an early age. And then one time, my mom bought a computer very early. I think I was about 12, 14. At that time, not many people had computers in the house and internet. And you know, remember that dial-up doing internet? Yeah. And then I was told like, no, the computer's off limits. I remember they used to cover it by Kavaraga Shitiana, but they and obviously, you know, the child is going to be mischievous. I went in there, and the first thing that I wanted to do, obviously, as somebody who's an artistic person, is I want to figure out how to draw stuff. So I ended up just by virtue of that becoming a graphic designer, a self-taught graphic designer. And then
nobody caught you using it.
They caught me using it because they saw the work I had done, and then I started making invoice books for them, business cards for them, so I became now a very useful tool for them. And it was then where my sort of like my path was now determined. And then I went into I started working for advertising agencies. I skipped. Actually,
Is there any academics involved?
I skipped school.
Completely.
The last time I enjoyed learning in a structured way, I think, was probably Form 2, Form 3, and then Form 4, Form 5, I was running my own business at home. I remember I had a printing company in my mom's dining room.
So you took the Bill Gates route?
Yes, I was doing
Steve
business
Jobs
cards
and
and wedding invitations. I was like, the dining room was a full-on operation at the house. And so by the time Form 5, now I was just busy with orders, not focusing on school. And then from there, I went straight to working for like a proper agency. Yes.
How did the music come into the picture?
It was something I always had a passion for from a young age. I was told I couldn't do it until I was done in school. You know, like a traditional Botswana parents will be thinking, entertainment, no. And they're thinking he's going to end up in drugs, he's going to end up in... So it was something that really my parents were trying to avoid me doing. So I decided not to fight them on it. And then later on, when I was working, I think I was working in Joburg, and I just thought, I remember one time I went to my boss's house, and I was looking around, I had been invited for dinner, I was looking around at in his house, and I was like, okay, I like his family, I love the dogs and the wife and all of that. And then I found myself thinking to myself, does it mean if I work really, really hard for this man for 10, 15 years, this is what I might end up with? It just wasn't. I was like, no. From that point on, I didn't have any motivation to work for another person. That was actually the last time I worked for another person. It was probably 2006. The last time I was on anybody's payroll. Yeah. And then I decided, no, I'm done. Okay. So I came back to Botswana, and I decided I'm gonna try and do something that I had put off, which was a passion of mine. I'm gonna start recording music. And I had known just in my mind like that okay, I know I'm good at this, but I hadn't done anything. I hadn't recorded any songs or anything. So one time I started recording. One day I went and recorded it, and the first song I recorded actually became #1 on radio. Like it was almost like it was just a transfer of that information into the song, because I already knew like I had the skills to do it, even though I didn't have the practice.
What's the name of that #1 hit? First #1 hit.
I think maybe it's a Chiresha Puso. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if many people remember it, but it was the song that actually made me.
Yeah.
And then from that point, I then applied my marketing skills that I had accumulated from working for agencies to brand myself. So I went, and me and my manager at the time hustled to get a billboard. We went to one of the billboard companies and said, can we use our artwork as a filler for one of your empty billboards? And they said, yeah, go ahead. And then we raised the money and printed our own billboard, and I plastered my face on it, and people recognized my face before they even knew my music. People knew my name and my face, and then it was.
I remember that period.
Yeah, so it's like people knew the name, knew the face, and then started finding out if this guy is actually any good.
So what is the genre of music that you started with?
I consider myself a pop artist, because I demand when I'm in the studio, what I demand from myself is to create a song that is going to have popular appeal. So that is my job, is to create pop music. So sometimes I rap, sometimes I sing. It's just what the song.
Speaking of rap, can you settle the argument? Tupac versus Biggie, who's the GOAT?
My greatest of all time is Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, anyway,
yes.
I mean, who's the dead GOAT?
Yeah, I've never really been a huge fan of Tupac and Biggie. I love and respect them, but I've never been really able to identify with their personalities. But I appreciate the skill, but the people that I more identify with are Eminem and Jay-Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in Africa, who was your biggest influence?
Who?
Who's your hero, musically?
Wow. Actually, have I even thought about this? Yeah, but I respect so many people, and even here in Botswana, I mean, people who have put in a lot of work. For the most part, I'm impressed by work ethic. Yeah. So people who work hard.
One guy who impresses me is DJ Fresh. He may not be a direct musician.
Yes.
But he's very impressive.
Yeah, he's very impressive.
And the consistency over many.
Yes, over all these years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You never collaborated with him?
No, I haven't. Not yet. Yeah.
Earlier, you were explaining why you stopped working.
Yes.
I think a lot of people need to hear that, because I want to. It might encourage one or two entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs out there.
I didn't like the idea of having a ceiling. Yeah, it didn't motivate me. It didn't inspire me to apply myself.
Ceiling as in?
Like seeing as what the highest you can achieve is. So I just never liked that idea. Even when I choose businesses to go into now, I don't like businesses with a set budget. Like like for example, a lot of people ask me why I've never run an agency, and one of those reasons is when you start the year, you know how much you'll make that year. You already know what's the maximum you will make that year, because your client has already told you their budget, and all you're trying to do the whole time, you're slaving away to try and squeeze away as much profit as you can from the budget that the client has already presented to you. So to me, I was like, I can't devote my life to that. It has to be everything. There has to be
So you believe in being limitless?
Yes, I believe in many possibilities existing in something that I pursue.
Tell me what you were doing on the advertising space exactly, and how that impacted what you are now doing.
I was an art director, so which basically means my job was to, especially in Botswana where we didn't have copywriters, usually how it works in a normal advertising agency, say like an SA, a graphic designer will be teamed up with a copywriter, and the two of you work as a team, and the copywriter will come up with the concept, or the both of you will maybe like just bounce ideas off each other. The graphic designer will do the imaging, and then the copywriter will write the actual copy that goes into the ad. So in Botswana, because of like the limitations of whatever, budgets, yes, people like the graphic designers find themselves actually having to write copy at the same time. So I I learned very early on to come up with great ideas to communicate. To come up with ideas to communicate things to the public. Like so, I learned how to communicate with the public from a very early age. So for example, like if a client like one of the big cell phone networks comes and they've got a new product out, I have to sit and figure out what's the best way to communicate this product to the customer. What's the quickest, what's the easiest way to make the customer understand the mechanics of this product. So it was good. It was good training to start that.
So
to
how long were you in that space?
Oof. I think probably, including the time I worked for myself, probably 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even as the music career was going on.
Yeah, even
the two overlapped.
I've always sort of like worked. When I started focusing on the music, I decided I wouldn't pursue graphic design work or marketing work. I decided I would just be a consultant.
Yeah.
Primarily for owner-run companies because I hate bureaucracy. So I always wanted to work with people who are able to make the decision themselves. Somebody I can talk to and explain a concept to, and then the person can make that decision right away. It doesn't need a whole team of people.
Apart from you doing your own advertising billboard, do you know of any projects that you think were impactful that you can think of that you're proud of in the advertising space?
Well, I did quite a lot of memorable adverts. I did the Imunate Limutare thing. That was actually a brand ambassador for Bimbos.
I remember that.
Yeah, so that was my concept.
Did very well for Bimbos.
Apex, we sell fed cakes.
Is that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and many other things. You know, I remember I was the first one to put like football players on the scratch cards, the old scratch cards, because my idea was like I remember at the time Orange was sponsoring the Zebras, and I said to them that if you want the team to be popular, you have to make each player known so people can recognize. So I was pushing them to brand the players because the players at the time were not. It was before the times of social media, and people were not branding themselves like they were right now. So a lot of people didn't really, especially people who are not like avid soccer supporters, didn't know who was in the team. They just knew Kgotla Ntsima and they didn't know who was in the team. So we started putting every player's face on the scratch cards.
And that did wonders for Zebras.
Yes, it really did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There are some companies that simply don't want to invest in advertising generally, and they believe that growth can be achieved without the advertising. But I think you have news for them. What do you want to say to them?
It doesn't make sense. It's like making something and then creating something, building something, and then keeping it behind closed doors. It's literally like if a tree falls in the forest, it's like nobody's gonna know what you're selling if you don't communicate it to them.
The tree would have fallen in the forest.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So you can create the best product, offer the best service, but if your customers don't know about it, or if you don't find the right way to communicate and make your customers understand what your product is, then that's going to inhibit your business.
And the same argument can be made for people who are shying away from social media. Am I right?
Yes, I'm actually one of those people. I'm on social media, but I'm so reluctant because I'm personally an introvert, and I'm an introverted person. So that brand,
but it's not you physically; it's just a picture of you.
Yeah, I do that. I do post pictures, but I'm not a regular
post.
Like I don't. Yeah.
But what do you advise for companies as a professional? Forget the personal feeling. What do you think from an advertising standpoint? Companies' stance should be towards social media? So
I think social media is just an opportunity to communicate. So communication is like communication between two people, between the two of us sitting here. You choose the right thing to say. You choose when to say something. It's not. I can't just sit here with you and then start talking the whole time about every single thing under the sun.
It has to be structured.
So you don't necessarily have to say everything all the time. It's fine if you don't post something for a week. It's fine if you don't post something for a couple of weeks. As long as whatever you post is something that's actually got substance, because that's what people are interested in. People are interested in something with substance, and they don't want to be bombarded with senseless things. So I would say to them, yes, it's a great opportunity, social media, but chill. There's no pressure to post things all the time.
We're not going anywhere.
We're here. It's just It's a town hall, and you don't have to scream the whole time the town hall meeting is going on. Yeah.
Let's talk about MaFresh.
Yes.
First of all, explain the concept to the viewer.
MaFresh is my new baby. Yes. For years now, for probably 8 years, I've been thinking really hard and trying to get into the retail space. And I thought, how do I get into retail? Because to me, in my mind, I thought retail is one of the best possible businesses you can go into, that if you master it, there's no limit to how big you can grow, which brings me back to what I was saying about hating ceilings. So I thought I need to be in a business where I can grow, where it's about me and my customer, and it's about how well I do. So the success of the business is directly proportionate to how well I do, how well I learn.
The effort you put in.
The effort I put in. So I wanted to go into retail. So I could have gone into many things. I could have gone into fashion, but I thought I want to go into food because it's something that I love. So I wanted to do something that I wouldn't hate spending my time on. So yes, I went with food. I tried with another business before, which was a restaurant. It was supposed to be called the Meat Bar. It never actually opened. I spent a lot of money on it, and then something happened.
You couldn't find the space. Maybe.
I had the space, did it up, and then the deal just went bust somehow, which I'm not going to talk about. But it's just one of those. It's one of those just failures before you do something. And I learned a lot from the experience. I learned that actually I could do it way cheaper than I did it the first time. I could come up with an even better concept. I wouldn't have to be in a mall anymore. I can be somewhere, anywhere. Yeah. So then I came up with MaFresh, and I wanted to provide affordable food for low-income areas, and it had to be something that most people like. So I had to sit and think, what am I going to sell? What do most people love? And most people love MaFresh. All of us like those homemade chips. I have never met one person who doesn't like them.
Americans call them French fries.
Yes, but the way we make ours, at MaFresh, we make them the way you would make them at your house. So they look and feel and taste like homemade MaFresh. And then we decided to then couple that with a quarter chicken. So this is primarily what we sell. When you get there are only two items on the menu: either quarter chicken and chips, or chips only.
And you've identified chicken and chips as being
the
items that are most liked by Botswana.
Yes.
Okay.
But my partner, we used to have arguments with my partner in the beginning because he wanted so many things in the menu, like wraps, and I was like, that these things are awesome, they're nice, but I don't know many people who have a wrap 4 times in a week. But all of us have chicken at least 3-4 times a week. We alternate between chicken and beef. So I wanted to find something simple so that I could learn the business with as few moving parts as possible, and then later on, when I'm confident about when it's established. Yeah, when it's established, and I've also learned, because I'm also training as I go. I've also learned how to go my processes, and my staff has learned our processes, and we've sort of caught our rhythm. Then we can add more items to the menu, because every menu item you add is a new process that you're adding. It's something else for your staff to do in the kitchen.
So what is the vision for MaFresh?
The vision for MaFresh is to just grow. Yes, is to grow, to have as many locations as you possibly can. Start in Gaborone, go outside of Gaborone, cover Botswana, go into Namibia, go into Zambia, go into Zimbabwe, go into South Africa. It's just to grow as much as we possibly can.
Is it going to be using the franchise model, or you have another model?
No. We for right now, we're not equipped, obviously, to run a franchise and police our franchisees and to make sure the standards are kept. So what we're doing is, for the next 5 years at least, we're going to own every single location, so that we can take care of the brand ourselves. We can make sure that the standards are kept.
In other words, you want to get your real estate first.
Yes. It's very important to do that. So another part of our business is obviously the next stage, like you mentioned, real estate. Another part of our business model is, as we grow and get more locations, to buy up land so that we grow up our property portfolio as we grow.
And where are you sitting at the moment? What's the situation right now
With
MaFresh?
No, we're still on our first location. We've learned a lot. I think we've been open for 6-7 months now. I think 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've gone through a lot of learning. There's been so many different challenges. One of them being just the human resource. You know, like it's one of the. I think that any entrepreneur who's watching this will know how difficult it is to find the right people, the right team to execute your vision. So
Where is the location and what's the situation in terms of how many employees
it's
set up and the
it's in
business?
G West. We are in G West, and we currently employ, including myself and my partners, we employ 8 people. Yes, we've got a team of people, 4 people per shift. Yes, and we are open from 9 until 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. Yeah. And obviously, what we're trying to do is later on, we're trying to when the
pandemic sees rules go.
We want to see how far we can go up. Yeah.
Who's your competition? Is it the bimbos of this world?
I don't really think about those guys. I'm more concerned about my relationship with my customer.
Sticking to your lane.
Yes, I'm interested in my customer. That's all. I think about my customer all the time. I want my customer to be happy. I want my customer to love what I offer. Yeah. So every day we concern ourselves with the customer experience.
And the response?
The response is great. We're doing really well.
Have you reached profitability?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. Okay. And we're trying now to go into. We've been forced now to start going into raising our own chickens. Very quickly, we had to make that decision.
Have your own farms.
Yeah, because our consumption is really high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me about that. You have a farm?
No, we have a farm under construction right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're doing quite high numbers. We're doing 30 to 40 full chickens a day, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's growing.
And it's growing, and we're gonna have we're gonna have more locations, which means those numbers are gonna just keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm part of an organization called Angel Network Botswana, and we're constantly looking for businesses that are investable, that are scalable.
Yes.
Would you say yours is, and would you consider Angel Network Botswana?
Yes, our business is designed from the beginning. It's designed to be scalable. Our dream is to one day list and become a publicly traded company, so we can have the finances to just grow it even bigger. I'm not interested in, me and the people that I share my business with, are not interested in hogging the business for ourselves. We love the idea of partnership and finding good partners to make the vision work, to move the business forward.
Let me tell you this, then at A and B, we have a system where we put you through our, the paces in terms of determining whether your business is investable.
Yeah.
And then showing you the process of pitching.
Yes.
And to get you to a point, if you're not investable, to get you invest.
Yeah.
And then we have a whole team of professionals. We have people from the accounting background. We have people legal background, such as myself, real estate, who are available to work with you.
Yeah.
So my interest in raising this is to find out, and also for the benefit of the viewer, to find out if you would want to go through the process initially.
Of course, because the idea is to get better. The idea is to become more efficient. That's the idea.
So please consider checking out A and B. We are available on several platforms, including LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then you perhaps do the same and take it from there. All right. You want to talk about the importance of relationships and partnerships in business.
Yeah.
Based on your experience, tell us about important partnerships and relationships you've had.
I realized a lot of people in our culture have this mentality that for you to be a success, you have to be able to say to people, I own this business by myself. This is my business. This is my business. I don't have any partners. It's like people feel like somehow that's some kind of a
negative.
Yeah, to have partners. And I just want to say to everyone who's watching now is teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I like that.
Yes. Find the right partners. It's like finding the right wife or right husband. If you're with the wrong husband, obviously things are going to go bad. If you're with the wrong wife, things are going to go bad. But if you're with the right one, you're going to achieve a lot. So I don't hate the idea of partnerships. Embrace it and just be very strict about finding the right partner for you. Because when you have a good team going, things are so much easier to do. The morale, the people who push you, the people who hold you accountable, the chances of you messing up by your own doing are reduced because you've got somebody to be accountable to, and it's just something that I've always had great experiences with, and I hope that everyone opens their mind to that. I always say, anybody who thinks that they don't want to have partners, think every single person who's successful in the world, even Mark Zuckerberg has partners, Jeff Bezos has partners. Yes, they might be the face of the business, but every business is pretty much like built that way.
Listed, so they have partners, they have people with shareholders and whatnot.
To
answer to.
Yes.
And I was asked you whether in terms of your experience you've had partnerships or you have partnerships that you can speak of.
Yeah, well, my current partners that I have right now, I want such an example where it's really, really great. Like I'm more, in the partnership, I'm more of the creative, obviously, and I'm the one who knows how to make stuff. I'm the one who knows how to build anything. So I would be responsible for designing the shop and making sure that I keep the aesthetics, and I'm taking care of the customer experience. I'm training the staff, and then we have another partner who is focused on admin, and her job is to just make sure that all the books are in order. And then we have a partner who is an accountant by profession, so who now makes sure that who makes sure that we are compliant and are ready for whatever. If an investor says, let's have a meeting, our books are in order. So it's a very complementary relationship that we've got, and I love it because I get to do what I'm good at, and I don't have to worry about the other stuff. Yes, we report to one another, we report to each other, but I don't have to stress myself about.
Does that mean you've given up equity or shareholding in your businesses?
Yes.
Okay, you're a minority or you're still a majority shareholder?
No, I have a partner that I have equal shares with, and then we have one who holds a little bit less. Yeah.
The importance of learning how to do stuff. You did mention that you do get your hands dirty.
Yes.
Can you explain to the viewer why that is important and how it has benefited you?
Yeah. As an entrepreneur, I think that knowing how to do a lot of stuff for myself has helped me get things from my mind to get it into something that's actually tangible. If you learn how to make stuff, like something, I'll give you an example, it's something like graphic design. A lot of people think that graphic design is something that's difficult, but there's an app that you buy, you learn how to do it, you get on YouTube, you learn how the app works, and you can design your own logo, you can design your own stationery. You can, as you get better at it, you can design your own advertising material. So a lot of people don't take time to learn some of these things that are not really difficult to learn. And they end up having
also an argument for saying people want to delegate and share responsibility with experts. People want to think that they don't want to hoard.
No, it's okay. It's okay to talk to people who know better than you, but also you can't be stuck. You can't find yourself sitting in bed thinking of a great idea and you can't lay it out on paper.
Yes.
Because you don't know how to do it. So for me, it's great because when I think of a concept, I can grab my laptop quickly, and then I can show myself how this thing looks. Like when I came up with the idea for MaFresh, I designed the shop, and when I went to meet with my first partner, I showed him the shop, and he was like, "I love it." You see, it makes it easy for people to see what you're trying to do, and also it saves you money.
Yes.
You don't have to pay people for everything.
No.
Yeah. So I make so much stuff for myself, so many things, like you'd be shocked. Yeah.
Now, your first two careers, music and advertising, does that mean they are taking the back seat altogether, or you want to also go back to them at some point?
Well, the music I use right now is sort of like just as a release. You know, if I've had a hectic week, I'll go to the studio and record. But it's not a business model that I have confidence in.
But the talent is still there.
The talent is there, but the business doesn't make too much sense to me. The business end of things doesn't make too much sense to me.
Is it because of COVID or other factors?
No, just I don't think that I want to spend my life chasing something that is about asking people to like you. I don't have time to ask people to like me.
No, but I mean, there are successful musicians, and there are people who've used their talent profitably here in Botswana.
Yeah, and I've been one of them.
Yes.
I've been around for 10 years or more, and I've made a good living from it. But it's just not. It's not something. I'm more likely to reach my target of 100 million running MaFresh than being Juju boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where your passion lies.
Yes.
At the moment.
Yeah.
I've had Mr. Kgotla on. I mean, I don't know whether you know him.
Bisao. Yeah, he's one of my friends.
Yeah, and he talked a lot about mental health, and this is something that you seem to also be interested in.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about mental health? What's your involvement there?
Mental health is everything. It's
health. Yeah.
It's health. It's for me, my mind is the most important thing to me. So I'm very, very deliberate about taking care of it, and because I cannot be the best. I cannot be the best father, best partner in a relationship. I cannot get things done
if your mental health is not right.
If it's not right, you know, we all struggle with many different things. I struggle with anxiety, but one of the things that has been really important is understanding what you struggle with, what you are suffering from, and learning how to deal with it.
But for an entrepreneur, has it got
for an entrepreneur, it's super important. Yeah, it's super important. You know, like you can imagine for somebody. I don't know if you know what anxiety feels like.
I'm trying to remember when I was anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, anxiety feels like you are in a panic. It feels like fear, like this constant fear that you can't explain. So imagine if
Have you had bouts of anxiety?
Yeah. So imagine if you're an entrepreneur. There are all these things. There are all these uncertainties. So you can imagine if you're an entrepreneur, you live in a world that is full of uncertainties. What it feels like just to go to bed, or just to wake up in the morning and wonder, what's going to come at me today? And that can really, really stress you out. That can either stress you out or you can get excited. On a good day, you get excited. On a bad day, you're. So it's very important to understand what's going on in your mind and learn how to manage it.
Have you actually had challenges in that area, mental health? Maybe as a musician, I suppose.
No, I think like I said, the only thing that I know for sure that I struggle with on a consistent basis is the anxiety. It's like just the constant worry. So then I made the decision. I made the decision that I would start seeing a therapist. So I regularly see a therapist because I know it's important, because it's not something that I can fix myself.
Yes.
It's something that I need help with. It's
nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yes, no, not at all. So you find somebody who is qualified to deal with something that you are not qualified to do. So it's just another one of.
What in your life? What was the challenge? What was triggering the anxiety?
I really don't know.
Really?
I really don't know.
It was money issues or relationship issues?
I can't pinpoint one particular issue. Yeah, but the first time I really experienced it was the first time I remember experiencing it was when my aunt passed away. It was a long time ago, but when she was really, really sick, and sort of like
she was very close to you.
Yes, and the whole family sort of knew that what was about to happen, and it was just so hard for me to come to terms with just the idea of hearing the news, like just knowing that one day somebody's going to have to call me to tell me. That drove me crazy, like to a point where I literally hid under the covers for days. And I don't know if I want to put my phone on silent or if I want to be able to be reachable. It was like, so that's the first time I experienced that feeling, and I didn't know what to do with it.
How did you turn a page on that?
Just getting help, speaking with professionals, and just becoming more aware of the processes that are happening.
And then you came to terms with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that musicians and entrepreneurs in general underplay the importance of this subject?
I don't know. I don't know if I would use the word underplay. I think maybe people put off doing something about it.
Because is there still a stigma issue there? Because there was a time when there was a stigma. When Mtagolo and hey, worry.
But it's
you
not.
couldn't go to suburb. But I think the stigma is gone.
It's gone. I think everybody pretty much knows that we all struggle with something. Yeah. So nobody's. I've never seen anyone who's ashamed of whatever they might be dealing with.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the vision thing in terms of long term. If you had a crystal ball, in terms of telling us where will, I don't know whether you still want the name Juju Boy, where will Juju Boy Ntsima be in so many years? Where will MaFresh be in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
What is the vision for the business and for yourself?
I hope that in 5 years to 10 years, I hope that Juju Boy is a brand that young guys who are coming up, who are interested in being artists, can be inspired to know that you can go from being somebody who performs on stage to doing many other things, because we're not limited. We're not limited. We're all like trees. We have many different branches, and you just have to you have to use your full potential. So I hope that through my achievements in business, I'm able to inspire people who are in the business world, who are in the music world, to understand that it shouldn't only be about being a pop star or a rap star, or it's like you can right now, like a lot of people that I look up to, like people like Jay-Z. It's like now he's very much respected as a businessman.
He says I'm a businessman.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So that's sort of that's sort of like the path I want to go, where I still want to be respected as an artist, but I want to also be respected as somebody who built stuff.
What is your take then on this argument that was really raging last year about, we had the likes of ATI on social media complaining about things, saying musicians are being disregarded. There was a very bad argument which was pitting locals against foreigners, that kind of thing, indigenous, non-indigenous. What's your take on that argument?
For me,
or that debate?
Yeah, for me, I stood on the side of, you wouldn't be that desperate if you had thought to do other things, you see. So I wasn't very vocal about it because I didn't want to rub anybody the wrong way at the time. But for me personally, like, I don't depend on one revenue stream. So when that crisis hit, it didn't hit me as hard as it maybe hit other people. And I just wish that everybody learned from that experience that it's very important to do other things. And now you can see artists now selling other products, and and
they've diversified.
They've diversified, and I think that was the right trigger to get people to start thinking, no, there's other things to do. And one of the coolest things for me about being famous is how much easier it is for me to open doors than another person. And that's an opportunity that I have to take advantage of.
That is available to all these famous guys.
Exactly, it's available to all of them, because I can meet anyone, pretty much anyone I want. As long as I have a solid idea, I'll get audience because I'm Juju Boy.
Yeah. And there's a thing I've been asking my guests about called the COVID dividend, that as much as COVID has been terrible, there should be some benefit and dividends that have come through. Can you identify a few dividends from COVID?
It's been awakening to a lot of people, and I think that's what our society was really, really desperate for. In the space that I operate my business in, it's all like people in the streets selling different things, vegetables, used clothes, and people are really like,
they become entrepreneurs.
People are hustling, and I love it, and that's where really
and this would not have happened if it hadn't been for COVID.
Exactly. The sort of like the desperation forced people into something that they should have gone into much earlier. Because also, like, business is like everything. You get better with experience. So the sooner you start, the better. So right now, the people who are starting now, we can only imagine what kind of things they would have achieved in 5-10 years.
Are you familiar with AfTA at all? Africa Continental Trade Agreement?
Well, I've heard about it, but I haven't really looked at the details.
Okay.
You can enlighten me.
I suggest that you dig deeper. We can talk after the show and then see how, if indeed you are planning to scale up and to expand and to grow, perhaps there could be one of the vehicles that you could utilize for that purpose.
Yes.
Time for a question, if you have a question for me, sir.
Yeah, okay. I said I wasn't going to prepare myself and I was going to wing it. And that's actually, I just came up with a good question right now.
Yeah.
And it's not for me per se, it's for everyone who's watching. I'm asking on behalf of them.
Yes.
For somebody who's watching at home, we're all striving to get success. We're all struggling to have a bunch of money, to be worth to have a lot of money in the bank and to own a bunch of things to get somewhere. A lot of people pretty much everyone who's watching this right now has that same desire. So I want you to tell me and tell them, what is this thing that we're working so hard for? What does it feel like to actually get things, to get the money, to get the property, to own all of this stuff? What does it feel like? Because we all know we want it, but we don't know what it feels like.
Yeah, one has to find one's own definition of success.
Yeah.
And success is different for each person.
Yeah.
So your question, if I understand it correctly, is how does it feel to be perceived as successful?
Or to be really successful.
To be successful, yeah. No, it is a good feeling because it's about personal, self-realization.
Yes.
And the fact that the things that you've worked for are bearing fruit.
Yes.
It's a very good feeling.
Yeah.
And then it even gets better when you realize that there's a lot more to achieve.
Yeah.
There's a lot more you could attain.
Yeah.
And you realize that you're just getting started. So for me, it's been a journey. I was explaining to the previous guest that it's been a journey of turbulence.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of highs and it's been like a roller coaster, but it's a great roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Like Steve Jobs explained, you'll see it nicely when you look back. You won't see it when it happens. So a lot of the terrible things that happened along the way, when you look back, they were meant for good.
Yeah.
So I would say to the people on behalf of whom you're asking, that weather the storm.
Yeah.
It may not, some of the terrible things that seem to be happening,
Yeah.
it may not seem like it at the time, but it all works out in the end if you stay persistent.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is to stop trying.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is to stop.
Yeah.
So don't ever stop. Keep going, keep
Yes.
going, keep making that effort.
Yeah.
And it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I can have Juju Boy on my studio, for me, that's a huge achievement. I mean,
it's a huge achievement to be here with you.
I mean, I'm not even qualified to be here, but if you can accept that sometimes you have to do things that you are not qualified to do by simply just having the gumption to go for it.
Yeah, I remember I wanted to tell you the story. I almost forgot. I remember when I first started, when I decided I was going to go into business and to put music aside for a bit and go straight into business. I remember I used to sit at home and watch Bloomberg, and I wouldn't understand everything that was being said. And I told myself, I'm going to watch this channel until I understand what these people are talking about.
Yeah.
And within a year, I was at a point where I could watch sort of like the CEO of Yahoo speak, and I would be like, no, that's a bad idea. You can't do that. That's not going to work out. I was like,
just through exposure.
Yeah, just from exposure. I was like,
you immersed yourself.
Yeah, so I'm actually good at this now. I'm able to scrutinize a business model, a big company, owner like Yahoo, and be like, no, you're making the right decision. You're the wrong decision. You should be going this way. I was like, maybe I might be qualified for this now.
Yeah. And that's because you didn't allow that thought to immobilize you.
Yeah.
To say, I'm not qualified for this. Is not my thing. You went for it.
Yeah.
So that's the advice I can give to you. That look, just keep going. It's a good feeling. It will be worth it.
Yes.
But it's not euphoric, in the sense that it doesn't mean that you've reached nirvana.
Yes.
There's always a desire for more. There's always more that you can do for others, because it's about service.
It's about service. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
All right. Now, as we conclude our conversation, I'd like you to look at that camera and leave that viewer with something inspirational. You had to talk about MaFresh, specifically the retail business.
Yeah.
So you want to leave them with a few thoughts, takeaways, as it were.
Yeah. Hi, friends. I suck at this. I just want to say to you guys watching out there, there are so many opportunities in this country that we live in right now. This country is young. it's so many areas of this country are still very unexploited. Let's learn. Let's teach ourselves. Spend as much time as you can doing productive things on the internet, for example. Let's not spend all our time trashing people on Facebook. Let's spend our time on YouTube, learn stuff, learn what things exist in other countries that you could implement here, learn how you can improve maybe a business that you might already be running right now. And good luck with your businesses, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Juju boy. Thank you, Mr. Ntsima.
Yeah.
You've been an excellent guest.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
so privileged to have interviewed you.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Cheers.
Cheers.